Well, once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the third Power Pack Day of Thai Global Summit 2020. Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us from across the world. Let me now quickly talk about our next topic, which is digital transformation success, flipping the odds. And let me now invite Shriramaya, CEO, Qubit AI Technologies, co-chair Thai Global Edu Special Interest Group. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Shriram Iyer got mentored by Padma Shri Bala V. Balachandran and the legendary Ashok Srivastav of PNG. Please join me in welcoming Shriram Iyer.
Hi, all. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you wherever you are. And it's another interesting session where and we are going to talk about transitions, digital transitions. That is a joke going on these days, saying that what forced you to go for a digital transformation? Is it the CIO, the CTO, or the pandemic? So to answer the question that how digital transformations are, why digital transformations fail, and whatnot, we have legendary and one of the experts on the digital transformation, Mr. Sanjeev. So just let me introduce Mr. Sanjeev Kumar. Sanjeev Kumar, as I said, is a legend in digital transformations. He has been working on multi-million-dollar projects all across. He was part of Sybase. He was before Sybase got acquired by SAP, a big project, a big company, and then he's visionary when it comes to data analytics, AI, and has done multiple projects for different kind of things, different kind of companies or different volumes, and comes with an experience of around 30 years in this field and has done multiple projects in digital transformation. He knows this in and out. So, ladies and gentlemen, we all are very excited to learn about more. Let's catch up with Mr. Sanjeev to know things better. Uh, Good
Yeah,
evening,
hi
Sanjeev.
Sri. How are you?
I'm good. So it's wonderful to have you on board and having this discussion, sir. So people, I would like to get started with something that because of the audience might know what not, but that what in your language or how would you define what is a digital transformation? People are confused even with that.
So, confusion is almost warranted because uh, for every company, for every industry, digital transformation could be different. Uh, but, if we look at what really makes digital transformation, there have been many definitions. But on the high level, uh, the integration of digital technology into all areas of business, fundamentally changing how businesses operate and how they deliver value to customer. So it's not like tweaking a piece here and a piece there. It's and that's why there are huge initiatives, transformational initiatives, as the name itself suggests. And what we find is that 2/3 of the digital transformations fail because of the enormity and because of the change that it brings within the business or the industry, right? And Forrester talks about like digital businesses. So businesses that harness digital assets and digital ecosystems to improve customer outcomes while increasing operational agility, right? So that's a good definition too.
Yeah, so just we could say that if a person says that something that could transform from the rock bottom, from the top to the rock bottom of the an enterprise that really enhances life of the employees and all, and that is what a transformation is. And as per what you said by the Forrester, that's only two-third. It's only one-third they succeed and two-third they fail. It's a good thing. So when people say about all this thing, what is not a digital transformation that you in your language would you say that what is not a
So,
transformation to you?
so before I go to talk about like what it is not, um, as we were looking at the definitions, cultural change, innovation, operational agility, and customer outcomes would be the cornerstones of a digital transformation. So, if we are just changing vendors or just going to the cloud, or, a lot of companies would do a customer 360-degree and create a hub. So just data collection would not necessarily mean a digital transformation. It's the customer outcomes. It's how you, I was kind of thinking, like, just to give a simple example, say Netflix came in, we used to go and get a video cassette or a DVD to watch a movie, and Netflix came in, completely transformed the way consumers would have a movie experience at home, right? And now Disney Plus is getting introduced. So Netflix was an industry transform, and Disney Plus, which is just getting introduced. So a 100-year-old company is transforming itself to digitally, stream their content. They are content kings, right? So now they are transforming the business, right? So here, if we are talking about transformation, but towards the experience, towards operational agility, so just doing pieces of the puzzle, you know, wouldn't mean like changing the technology for cost saving. I mean, outsourcing something, that wouldn't necessarily mean a digital transformation.
So here, very absolutely right. This changing the technologies, changing the vendor is not digital transformation. And yeah, very rightly said that we need to work on the industry, because the transformation which will bring disruptions and do things, that's phenomenal. So Sanjay, I would like to further catch up your brain on to understand why do what role this current pandemic is playing in digital transformation. So and what is it that you think about this current situation in pandemic?
So interestingly, I was thinking about that, and there have been some interesting surveys. But even if I just look at my own company, or look at how we are doing this conference, suddenly the employee experience within, throughout the globe, and all the events, they, um, virtual, uh, you know, work environment, and this employee experience has suddenly become digital, and there is no choice, right? So that is probably number one, impact. But there are other things, like even at my company, and I have, you know, seen in a lot of other companies, the customer support models are changing because of the pandemic. The use of chatbots, for example, which was out there. It's not that it's completely novel idea, but because of pandemic, that uh, there are even because like Zoom and WebEx, and they have stopped taking direct calls because they were just so overwhelmed, right? And so now they're finding uh, you know interesting ways like chatbots to respond to the majority of the so that their systems are not overwhelmed. Another thing that is happening is for cost and safety concerns, and especially safety concerns, automation and robotics is being leveraged. Again, I mean, it was happening in pockets, but suddenly the scale and the depth and breadth has changed. And lot of companies, because see, it's not equally impacting all the industries and companies, right? So pandemic has scaled up some of the companies and operations, and then there are like tremendous cost pressures on companies. So they have decided to consolidate systems and remove redundant systems and things that were just kind of out there and happening. So that has changed. And the other thing is like because of the pressures, some of the companies are actually moving into this MVP mode where just you go out there and make it happen rather than look for perfection. So I would say, but again, I think that the employee experience certainly going digital across the board was probably the number one.
Okay. So that's absolutely the thing that the pandemic moving in all the directions and impacting somewhere positive and negative. And yeah, the technology driven businesses have seen quite a lot of things. And as you said, the if you have reached to expand your scale at this point in pandemic, that is really going to help. So I would like to know furthermore, like you have done multi-million, hundreds of millions of worth of transformation transactions from Freddie Mac or maybe the earlier companies, iBase and whatnot. I would like to know what are the steps do you think that will boost the transformation?
So as you were talking about this subject, I was thinking that eventually we will get to this point where the uh, y- y- how do you really flip the odds?
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and I just put some slides together to just go over some of those concepts. So essentially, uh, there are several what we could call the critical success factors, but the most important ones, I would say, six of them. Have to have an integrated and very clear strategy. Leadership commitment, C-level commitment, talent. You cannot undermine that at all. Agile mindset. And once you have set this up, I mean, setting this up itself it takes a while, but then managing and monitoring and tracking KPIs to make sure that it's progressing in the right direction, and then uh, drive the technology and data platform that uh, is so essential to the success of any digital transformation. And we can so let's look at each of these in a little more
Absolutely.
detail.
Yeah, I was
um,
actually about to ask that, because that is a high level 50,000 feet that you showed, then it's a phenomenal to see a deck like this here.
yeah, and integrated strategy not only needs a clear vision. The business got to be part of the uh, you know uh, the whole approach here. This just digital transformations fail because in a lot of companies IT and business is not working the way they ought to. And sometimes and in my recent experience, just getting IT and business to look at it cohesively takes a while. Takes a cultural change. Change management has to be important. A prioritization. So it's like a governance and decision making that needs to drive the strategy. Use case. So it's not that the priority and the use cases, prioritization of the use cases, I think go hand in hand. um, and then clear technology and data strategy that eventually we'll talk about later as well. It's not just uh, digital transformation is not just about the cloud or machine learning or creating a data lake. It is those are just some of the components that may strategically be pulled together for the end goal.
Absolutely.
Now, the C level, the leadership, so this is just a, interesting slide, but the bottom line here is that
Absolutely.
everybody at the company needs to be behind the digital transformation because I find, uh, you know, any level of innovation, if it is not supported from the top and if it is not sponsored at the top, would only be, limited in its success.
Absolutely.
So C-level sponsorship is
Yeah,
extremely important.
yeah, actually, this slides talks a lot. That and so and to combine both the slides, slide one and slide two. So we cannot do anything until unless you have integrated strategies working with different departments coming in together, well knitted
Mhm.
strategy to work on. And the second thing that comes is like the holy cow project. The cow, the it has to be done by, as you said, by the the top management, especially like this the slides cover it all, that you have a top boss, a supporting next middle management, and throughout communication. Yeah, so wonderful.
And uh, and then as we were talking about earlier, uh, having the right people in the right place.
Mm,
And it's not
absolutely.
just that. And I think I would also like to talk about like, the talent is not necessarily so key, and strategic talent potentially needs to be inside. But then, you have to be strategic about it in terms of, where startups can be of real value.
Absolutely.
And uh, you can't just hire, because this is transformation which is broad and deep. So
Absolutely.
if you have some strengths within your business, so the business drivers and the business talent that drives like how the uh, product experience and the customer outcomes, that is close to the business. But if you want to scale it up using the cloud, or you want to go to mobile platforms and use machine learning, all those things could potentially be done by startups and your partners.
Yeah,
So choose
yeah.
carefully, and yeah, go ahead.
This really makes sense because now you have said multiple, you've brought in different visions here. It's not only talking about the talent in the team, and you are saying that if you identify a right talented startup, pick that up, bring it, make it the part of the strategy, make it the part of the things, which I really think is visionary. And I guess that is what companies are trying to do. If they are not able to get in the right talent, or they are not able to get into the innovation, and they are picking up rightly the startup. So I would say, hey, this is a really good thing to for startups to look at, that when a big corporate says that they are looking at talent, it does not mean they are looking to directly look for people to hire. What Sanjeev is saying, that they also look up right startups in that area which are filling the gaps. That's a good thing. So when, as a startup can look at what gaps they can fill in a big company of a corporate, and they could be the right candidates to get picked up. Absolutely perfect.
And I think that is where you ought to know what talent you already have or what is close to your business versus things that you can leverage uh, other partners with.
Absolutely.
Now, a lot of times CI/CD and DevOps, turns out to be, some buzzwords that people are using. But at the end of the day, an agile mindset, like fail fast. That approach, and especially when you look at the big, you know, corporations where this agile mindset is not in place, this cultural change, I'm told that 63% of the companies, struggle with just the pure cultural aspect of digital transformation.
Absolutely.
So, so you need to think through the cultural aspect, and look at how are you going to change. I mean, I have worked in companies where the dev and ops, right, the development teams and operations teams are so siloed and so different, and there are so many handoffs. um, one of the things to think about is like, how do you um, you know minimize the manual tasks, minimize the handoffs, and the operational agility is the key word. And uh, cloud comes to mind when it comes to operational agility and scale out of the operations, right?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah, I actually see
good.
quite a lot of things that you're talking about in terms of this also, like, being part of some transformation projects in multiple corporations, and like you putting in the thought, like, dedicated change managers, pragmatic managers, demonstrate perseverance. I guess, yeah, these should be absolutely never missed. Yeah, very effective gathering there and looking up things here.
And again, I'll say, training is a key aspect here as well,
Yeah,
which we're talking about here. But again, I mean, this doesn't. That is where the startups who have already been there, done that, or have a very niche focus, can come in and bring you and some areas of the company up to speed in a very effective way, and a cost effective way as well, right?
yeah,
So, um,
absolutely. The thing is, like, this really makes sense. Talking the fear out, getting trains, and absolutely. Uh, I would rather say that, we might, some people might come back to me post this session to reach out to you. So we will definitely pass on that details, but they might also ask for your presentation for the points that you have made are so valid.
well,
Absolutely. So,
absolutely, yeah, I'll forward it to you, and you can probably forward it to other folks.
absolutely.
Now, when it comes to monitoring, again, I mean, this is not like, oh, sorry, I think so, once you set it up, that's not the end of the story. So the initial things we talked about, the strategy and talent and everything, I mean, so just to get off the ground, you need some things in place. But then once your initiative is up and running, the RACI, roles and responsibility need to be clear. The KPIs that you will monitor to track the progress needs to be clear, um, and transparency, so that everyone knows what's going well and what's not going well. Um, so having here, I would say it's like effective governance, right?
Yeah.
So you need to figure it out, what works for you, but effective governance is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that makes it very clear, as you say, that, you need to understand who's responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. If you have that segregation with a single source of truth and smart goals, I guess it's not, I'm not guess, but it's like, yeah, I'm feeling it. These are obvious, but the irony is when you say it's just like going, our session is actually looking like, the art of deduction. As long as you are reading a novel of Sherlock Holmes, wherein you say that, hey, I didn't think about it, and probably after you find out that who killed somebody or who's the culprit, we feel, oh, it was so simple, and that is what you're making us feel. We feel that, so two-thirds of transformations failing, but you're making us feel everything was obvious, but you probably overlooked or didn't act on it. Yes.
And finally, uh, the reliable and tested technology. And I was uh, part of an initiative where they created these phenomenally good, consumer experience, but the backend did not change,
Ah,
right? So now when you have, suddenly uh, the front end is really, state of the art, and you get customers, uh, you know, enticed because of that, and your backend doesn't scale. uh,
mm,
that's so I'm just saying, these are the challenges. So you have to think through all the aspects, and cloud comes to mind, and so scalable architecture, having the entire, so all these reliable and tested technologies,
mm,
basically, leverage platforms. And again, I'll say startups, are doing so much work in this space. IoT
correct.
platforms, machine learning platforms, and uh, scalable data platforms, and mobile technologies that can scale, right, with cloud in the back end, things like that. So all
Okay.
that is not, uh, the next shiny thing. It is a core of a digital transformation. But that should not be the end goal, right? Your end goal is customer outcomes. End goal
Absolutely.
is the cultural change. But those are the things that make up a successful transformation. So uh, you know if you want to flip the odds, have a clear strategy, have proper sponsorship, make sure the talent is looked at. If haven't the culture should be agile, um, monitor KPIs, and have a scalable platform in terms of technology. And the data platform needs to be robust to serve the customer experiences that you want. And you
I,
know,
I
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying that, this is actually a phenomenal thing that you have bring in. Actually, 30 minutes is too less of time to discuss this when we are talking about multi-million dollars, $100 million or a kind of a project wherein the digital transformation happens. But the insights that you have brought in, like, and bringing doubt and not giving the motherhood statements and breaking them into the process, that what processes could it be? I guess this is phenomenal for people to learn. And to all the listeners, transformation does not happen as like what Sanjeev said between the lines and what he said now, that, it's not right talent, it's right company also to pick up. It's not about, talking about the change management, but you need to think, empower people with taking in the decisions, bring in the pragmatic leaders, also talk the fear out. So that means the management needs to be committed to talk the change and about it. And we should not bring in any business which is gold plated. That means just for the sake of it, we bring it for the transformation. Absolutely golden points. And Sanjeev, we would definitely love to have you another time for a bigger conversation wherein, we can directly talk to big CXOs of TI, and you can actually talk to them that, how this entire transformations could be done, taking the examples. Because we just had a 30-minute session, we cannot cover all that, but this is really masterpiece that you have bought in, the very heavy piece into small slices to digest for the people. And really, so I really appreciate your time, and it was
Thanks,
phenomenal to.
Priyan. Thanks, Devani. I really appreciate the opportunity, and yeah, I will be glad to participate. As we move forward.
Sure. Thanks for your time. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being a speaker at the Thai Global Summit 2020. So, people, thanks. That was all for this session. We had two sessions back to back with Simon Galpin and then now with Mr. Sanjeev Kumar. One was on the Bahrain, and second is our how digital transformations are important. Thanks for you. I really appreciate your time. I wish you a good day.
Thank you
Take
very,
care.
very much. Well, that
Thank
was
you.
a very informative discussion filled with great ideas. Thank you